This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So the other week we talked about SSH keys, and we set up the SSH keys inside of Google Cloud. This week we're gonna do SSH keys, and I'm using DigitalOcean because DigitalOcean gives me two options. One, I can use SSH keys that are already on my bots, or I can use a username and password to log into the machines. They give you root access automatically in order to do that. So there's two ways we can do this. We can exchange SSH keys via a root user, or we can exchange SSH keys by creating a user and then exchanging keys with that user. The common goal would be is that user on the left hand side, which is on my green screen, would have to be a user on the right hand side. Right now, the users that's on the left and the right is root. So we're gonna do root for now. Then we'll go back and create a user, and then we'll do the user as well too. So if you ever wanted to know how to create SSH keys, we're using SSH keygen. You can pass the dash T RSA. By default, I believe it's RSA now. But let me get you some instructions so you can follow along with that. And also, so that you can see what changes occur and take place. I am going to post the link inside the chat, and you can look at that link. But more or less, if you follow the screen, it should be okay. You said what type of console did Tamika just mention? You said console. What console?
You mentioned a console when you were talking about Terraform.
Oh, so it's this. It's Terraform.
Uh huh.
It is console, CONSUL, and then
Okay.
right. So if you went to Hashi, that's Hashi .com. That's the company that is out of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard of Terraform when you said console. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right. You lost me there for a minute.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
Okay.
Console is one of their products.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So on my left hand screen, I am root. How do I verify I am root? We know this command. I'm gonna call on somebody in the class to tell me this command. How do I verify that I'm the root user?
Is it who am
Sheila,
I?
that's right. Who am I? Somebody, anybody. Who am I? On the right hand side, what should I type again?
Who am I?
All right. How do I find out who the last person that logged on to the box? W.
Oh yeah.
Remember? Remember?
Yep.
If you don't remember that, you could probably do a man on W. Yep. Show who last logged in and what they were doing. Right?
Yep.
Your
Remember that?
screen is so tiny.
Is it? I blew it up.
Yeah.
It's very small on the eyes for me.
Mm, I blew up the. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Well, we can do one thing at a time, so it's all good. We'll go here. That clear? Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, is that big? Oh, and by the way, inside your console itself, you can blow up your screen as well too. So, you can make it bigger on your end as well. Just a FYI.
Mhm.
All right. So can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. So let's do some housekeeping first. If we do ls minus a, you see that I have some stuff by default here from when this box got created inside of DigitalOcean. It made some it dropped some stuff in here automatically. One thing that got dropped in here automatically is the kickstart. So anytime that you're building a Windows, anytime you're building a Linux box by default, and this is in Red Hat, you automatically get a kickstart file. So basically, whatever you choose to install and so forth on startup, it's going to create a kickstart file for you. So you can open this file and you can grab this file and you can set up a Pixie server, and that file will actually you can use this file. So this is actually going to be part of your what we're going to do later on. So we use the keyboard, the root password is encrypted, the URL, they're telling you where they're pulling from. They're pulling CentOS base 8. It tells you the language it's using. The firewall is enabled on this box for SSH. Here's the repos that they're pulling from. After you do the install, it should shut down and reboot itself. They have DHCP set up on the network and give it a host name, a local host, local domain, the time zone. You can change that. They have enabled shadow password. SE Linux is on. They turned off first boot, which is a good thing because first boot actually gives you a GUI, and then you have to go through and say you want to do kdump and all this other stuff. They've disabled services kdump, but they have enabled, as you can see, network manager, SSHD, R6log, cron-d, cloud init, local, so forth and so on. They ignore and any other disk can only use VDA. It's a virtual device. It is the reason why it's VDA is because remember we're sitting out inside of I want to say AWS, but we're sitting outside in DigitalOcean, so it is a virtualized environment. So that gives you your VDA. However, um, again, if we put another instance on here, we could with nested virtualization, but that gets into the weeds, and we're not gonna go down that route. So they in a bootloader, they actually are giving us a console, so we could probably serial connection into this, and the boot drive is VDA. Um, they are doing a zero master boot record MBR right there, and then they got a partition of 8 gigs here, and then they got some post install that they're doing on error on fail, and you can look these things up, and then they go through and they do the grub, and they're making a grub and so forth. And this is after everything is installed because we're in the post section here. And they do some removing of some firewalls. They're catting information into etc sysconfig network all the way up to it says EOF. That's what they do there. They are echoing some information into etcresolve.conf. They are echoing some more stuff into ifcfg eth0. You can see that on this line right here. And also we can do a set. We can do a colon set nu. Hold on, colon set nu. Come on, set. They give us line numbers. And I was looking on line 89. And now we're down here to line 100. Still going through the posts here of what they did inside of their Kickstart file. Right? So that's an overview of their Kickstart file. They do a lot of stuff. They remove varlog yum, varlib yum. They remove install log assist, anaconda dot .sysconfig var log and becomes a star. They remove system D, cat/dev null, etc machine ID, fixing SE Linux contents. As you can see, it's pretty lengthy. And then here are the packages that they install by default on a boot up. For the ones that got the minus in front, they remove. The ones that don't have the minus in front get installed. And this is all in a Kickstart. So this is what your machine looks like. So if you want to replicate this machine at home, you can literally take this Kickstart, download it from your box from DigitalOcean, set up an HTTP server, and then Kickstart your machine on your network with this particular config. All right. So you remember what's in L ls etc scale? You remember this directory? Anybody?
Yes, but I don't remember what was in it.
Okay, so remember in ls, if we do ls minus l a on etc scale, this right here is what you see in your home directory. So remember, whatever you put in here, it's gonna boot up and be inside, or when that user logs in, it's gonna have the contents of etc scale in the home directory. This gets created by default when we're doing the install. So, and I guess this TSRC cell, that's something else that gets triggered there. But by default, these are the things that get placed in this CSHRC shell. That's maybe an install, that may be a package install, and the T shell, that may be a package install. And .ssh is when I logged in that got created. And so if we cd over to .ssh and do a ls minus la, we see we got a file in here called authorized keys. If we cat authorized keys, nothing there yet, but that's when that's usually what gets created by default when we're doing in the .ssh files, in the .ssh folder. So I will clear my screen. All right, so now I'm gonna generate some SSH keys. So SSH dash key, and you can double tab gen, and you can do dash T RSA, but by default, I believe it's RSA now. So if I just do SSH keygen and just take everything defaults, I'm not gonna give it any passwords. And if I look back in this folder now, you see now I have a public key and a private key. So what has to happen now is I gotta do what we call a SSH copy ID, or SSH copy the keys over from, and I'm copying the public key over from one machine to the other machine. And what that will enable me to do is SSH to my my other machine without putting in a password. So let's go and grab that other machine.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Besides RSA, what's the other one?
RSA, you could do a man on SSH dash keygen. There's RSA, there is DSA.
DSA. Okay.
Yeah, and you can look down here with the dash T, lowercase t here. That's dash S. Where's dash T? Give me big T. I want little t. Big T, little t should be coming up right here. DSA, EC, DSA, ED 25519, and RSA. And the DSA and probably the EC, DSA, ED 225519 are probably going to be flagged as not usable, insecure, and RSA is more than likely the default.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, no problem. So now you do an SSH dash copy ID dash I, and I haven't done this in so long. Let me give it the full path. Even though I'm in the directory, I just give it the full path. And what I need is not this IP here. I need the public IP of this, which is probably that, but let me double verify that on my screen. I think that's it. I'm on 1 going to 2. Let me double verify. I'm sure it is because that's a public IP right there. But let me double verify. 185.240. Yep. So here I'm gonna grab that IP. And because I'm root user, I have root user over here and I have root user over there. I have to use root user. All right. Oopsie. You didn't like me? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it took the whole line at the bottom. That's all right. It copied the wrong thing. So let's do this. And I should have did this first to prove something to you. So if I do a SSH root at this guy, I'm going to log in and you see it's asking me for a password. Right? So I got logged in. All right, cool. That's nice. But now I don't want to get logged in with that password. So I do a SSH dash copy ID dash I, and you can give the full path and root at that DNS name or IP address. And it matters if you use the DNS name because that's how the key is going to see it. And if you use the IP address, then you're going to have to SSH over with that IP address. If you're going to use the DNS name, then you have to exchange the key that way. So just a FYI there. All right, so now it's saying when I go back up and try to SSH, basically I can SSH root at that IP address. So we're gonna do that. And I should land on the box, right? See, I landed on the box. Why is that important? This is how Ansible works. It uses a key exchange. However, why is another reason why this is important is I can run commands from where I'm at to that box. So say I just want to get an idea of what is in the temp directory of that box. I believe it's double quote cat slash ls, excuse me, ls minus l slash temp. Think I gotta put it in double quotes. Yep. So let's go over here on the left hand side. I'm gonna clear my screen. I'm gonna do ls minus l of slash temp. And so you see I have the same thing over there. Now, okay, you're not sure about that? Let me make a directory called just checking. You're not sure if I got to that box, and I'm gonna run that very same command again by using my up arrow. Oh, clear. Is it not giving me that? Should be. 2307 system D. Yep. Let me widen this a little bit. Where's my just checking? Made dir. Oh, sorry. Made dir. I made dir in my local directory, not in slash temp. Somebody should have caught that. There you go. So now when we do it, there it is. So now you see we're reading from one box to that box by exchanging SSH keys. And those SSH keys are now, if you go over here to root's home directory .ssh, and then you cat authorized keys. I have the authorized keys from, you see that right here, from this box to that box. Remember on Google Cloud, we were doing the same thing. We exchanged authorized keys from one box to another box. But in their situation, you had to do it inside of their console in order to do that. It wouldn't let me SSH copy that information over. Any questions on that? Make sure I pull up my
You can
screen.
always use the host name, right? As long as it's resolvable. If you don't know the IP of the other one.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, but when you do the SSH host name, you have to always go by that host name. If you don't,
yeah,
you know, right? And if you're going by DNS name and say the IP changes, then you can always just go by the DNS name and never have to worry about the IP address, right?
right,
So it's
right.
either or. If the host name changes, then you have to worry about exchanging keys again because the host name changed.
Gotcha.
Right. All right, so that's what that section was inside of when we were going through it, and it's like, hey, how do you exchange SSH keys? What is the significance of that? You know, how do you do that? What does it give us, and so forth. So that's what that is. So if we made a user um, over here on the left hand side on the green screen, we would have to have that same user over here and exchange keys with that particular user. So you have to make the key again and then exchange keys. Did you all want to walk through that? And if we do, you're gonna walk me through it. I'm not gonna give you the answers.
So like let's do a user Ansible.
Or user Ansible.
Yeah.
You want to name the user Ansible?
Yeah.
So how do I do that?
So user add on both, right?
Okay. Do I need to give it a password?
Um,
How am I gonna log in?
yeah.
Yeah, I need to give it a password over here. So now I gotta switch to this user. All right, what I do next?
So copy this one's public key to that one.
What's the command?
Oh, go to his .ssh directory.
Do what now?
You can go to the directory .ssh directory or just do ssh copy ID and give the full path. That dash I, right?
But what I gotta do first though?
Yeah, so this one then public underscore RSA or something.
I gotta give it a SSH key first. So it's SSH dash
Oh,
key.
keygen, yeah. Generate the key.
Right. Take the defaults.
Yeah.
Right. So now if I look at my .ssh folder, I have my public key.
Right.
Now I can do my SSH copy ID
Right.
dash I, the entire path if I wanted to, and then Ansible at, and I need the IPA. Um, mm, mm, mm.
Boom.
All right, I'm on there. See, class one, class two. The name of it is class two. Okay. And I always double verify who you are before you run commands. Got it?
Yes.
Let me see. Let's go over here. Yep. Cool. All right. Let's see what else we needed to discuss. Does everybody understand what just took place?
Yes, I have a question though. How does the
Mhm.
system know the difference between the first key that we generated and when we do a second one or a third one?
Because we were a different user.
Oh, okay.
Remember? So that's why I did who am I? And when I did the SU Ansible,
Got it.
who am I? Other than that, it's just gonna overwrite the same key.
Okay. Thank you.
You will. All right, let me see what else we need to get our grant come out of this chapter. How do I on the second machine without logging into it, how do I create a directory inside the Ansible home directory since we just made the Ansible user without logging in? And I want that directory to be called toys. So how do I do that?
How do you what?
How do I log into the second machine without logging in using the fact that I have now SSH keys and create a directory inside the home directory of Ansible and that directory should be called toys.
Is it something like root at the IP address and then the make directory command?
I don't need to be root. I can do it as Ansible because I already exchanged keys.
Okay.
Would you just have to use the full path?
So yeah, yeah.
So in chat, Margot said just SSH root.
SSH, yeah.
Do I need to be root or do I need to
It
be
can be
Ansible?
answerable.
Right?
Yeah.
And the IP address.
Yeah.
And let's clear my screen over here. And we're going to do something else. We're going to go to our home directory. We're going to SU to Ansible. We're going to do it ls. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use the watch command. And we're going to watch ls minus l in that directory. And it's going to read it every 2 seconds. You can change this read. But now we're going to say make dir um, yeah,
Dash home. Don't know.
it should do it right there in your home directory.
Yeah, that's true. Because you're answerable.
Right.
Okay.
And you see it pop up on the left right there. Wasn't none there before. You can double verify that again and we can change that S to a Z. And on the right hand side, the watch command is every 2 seconds. And you should see toys pop up. And you notice that it's owned by Ansible, and you see it's 775. And what's crazy about that is the UMass should be 755, but that's I guess they got a UMask of what 7 7, so is UMass is 002? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. And we know that because last week we were playing with UMask where directory started 777 and file started 666. So the so it's 002 for their UMask. And for the files, if we created a file right now and in this directory, it should be 664. We can test that by doing a touch. hello.text, and then let's do a LL, and we're getting 664, just like we expect, because the UMask determines what that actual directory and that actual file is going to be. That's the importance of UMask. All right. So what if I wanted to prevent root users from ever logging into this box on my right hand side, right? So what I can do, I'll go on the left right now to show it to you, and then we'll change it on the right. All right. So if let me install Vim real quick, because I'm gonna do this all night long with Vim. That's just my thing. I use Vim all the time instead of VI. I'm a Vim person. All right, so it's going out, grabbing the mirrors and doing this thing. But we want to permit root user from logging in. Remember, SSH is just an application, right? It's just a package. And with all packages, they have um, documents or documentation or config files. And where are most config files stored at?
/etc.
Yep. So, but if we don't know that, right? If we're not sure about that, how can we find out about this SSH package, right? Well, first off, let's find out what is the package name for SSH. So you can do a RPM-QA and grep for SSH. And you can see there's OpenSSH client, OpenSSH server, OpenSSH, libSSH, and so forth. We more than likely we want the OpenSSH server, right? And so now we can do what we call an RPM query or query information. I forget what the L is. And then C, that says files by files by package. And the package is OpenSSH server. And you can see from there, it tells us what files and where they were stored at, right? So etc pam.d sshd sshd config etc sysconfig sshd and continue on down all the way down to user share, which is user share is user man share. Where do you think that is? What do you think these are? They're your man pages, right? They're your man pages. So when I do a man dash K and an open SSH server, I should do open SSH, let it return whatever. You can see this correlation. Look, man 5 SSH config. See that? You see man 8 SFTP server. Here 9 times out of 10, that's what that is correlated to. Right? So now you know where the man pages are installed at for this particular package that got installed, which is Open SSH server, right? So now let's clear that. Did everybody understand that? I'm not looking at the screen, so I gotta go by sound.
That was fine.
Okay. All right. So now, I want to prevent the root user from logging in. And because I'm doing SSH, I have to look in my config folder. So now I'm going to go here, etc sysconfig. And because I know the package name is SSH, I'm just going to type SSH and then hit double tab. So now what's unique about this is you won't see SSH dash permit root login on machines. I believe this is something from DigitalOcean. I believe this is their config, but let's look at it, right? Let's check it out because they allow you to have root login. So this file has been generated by Anaconda installer. Okay, so it's in the kickstart. Allow root to log in using SSH. Remove this file to opt out. All right, so they say remove this to opt out. So let's now go into the other one, SSHD. Okay, so SSHD is usually way more information in here than this. They stripped it down. Let's see if we can find another copy so you can see, because usually it's like permit root login. You can have users that can log in. Like if you don't want a certain group of users to log in, you can lock it down by groups. You can lock it down by just saying, hey, I don't want this user to log in and so forth. But this is stripped down. So now let's go over here to the one that they have. And that's probably the same thing over here. So let's go do this and cut and paste that. I don't have Vim installed. Told you I was going to do that all night long. All right, so now what they say is remove this file to opt out. Okay, cool. So what we do is, instead of removing this file, let's cd over to etc sysconfig. And maybe I'm looking in the wrong directory. I don't think so. All right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna move SSHD dash permit to SSHD dash permit .org. And I don't think it's gonna read this file. So we'll double verify this. What we're gonna do is now we're gonna open up a new, let's open up a new box, a new window. Let's get the IP address of this. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when I restart SSH, I don't want to lose connection. Okay. So now here, I'm going to make this a little bigger. All right. So now we're going to do SSH root at this. All right. So you can see I can still log in, right? All right, cool. Well, check it out. You can enable the cockpit console. All right. So now what I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to restart SSH. And how do I restart SSH? How do I restart a process inside of Linux?
That's a reboot.
Why would I reboot? It's going to take me all the way out.
System CTL restart.
Would you
System
say it was?
CTL restart.
Yep.
Restart SSHD.
The system CTL restart SSHD. All right. Remember that. This is, it used to be service, and now we moved over to system D. And I should show you these where this stuff is stored at. So now when I come here, I'm gonna do this. All right. And now let's check and see if we can log in. Also, before we do, let's check the status of SSH. So we see that it's running. All right. Now let's see if we can still log in as root. I'm going by what they say, so let's see. I'm still able to log in. All right. Let's see what else we need to change. Let me see if I move that file. Let's see. move it over to, it may still be reading it, but I doubt it. And let's restart it. Let's see if we can log in. Yeah, I'm still able to log in. So that didn't work for them. That's not true. All right, so now let's see what else we got to change, because I'm thinking it is the SSH SSH config file, SSHD config file. Oh, come on, Vim. I need to install that. All right, so this file right here, you see where it says root login equal to yes? That's what I was looking for. I knew I was in the wrong thing. So this one right here. Normally, what I tell you before about config files, never change a config file on the fly. Always copy the config file so you can get back to what it originally was. And so that way you don't have to worry about, well, what did I change? Or you can use GitLab or GitHub to version control the file. All right, so now when I go ahead and change the file, let's go down to root login. I'm doing a search for root login. I see it, I just don't feel like using my arrows. So here, we're going to change that to no. And then we're going to clear our screen, and now we're going to restart. And that should block us. All right, let's clear screen over here. And now let's go and try to log in. Let's make sure I put in the right password. Can't get logged in. Okay. So didn't get logged in. Now let's change it back.
All right, can you point out where you're looking? Because I didn't see that before when you were on the phone.
Right here. I search for root login. Permit root login. And I've changed that back to yes. Now we're gonna restart that. Now we're gonna try to go back in. And I should get back in. Now I'm back in. Permit root login is where it's at. Right there. So you got other things that you can change in here. You can change what port SSH listens on. You can change the listening address from, instead of listening on 0.0.0, it only listens on the IP address of it. You could change how it's logged. So this is a log level. You could change the log level to debug here. So you can add that. You can also come in and change, instead of somebody trying maximum 6 times, they can only do 3 times, and then it drops. And you can even get more granular with your IP tables or firewall D, that when really on IP tables, if somebody tries to connect too many times, you can say, okay, we're gonna drop you from connecting. Here, we don't use ignore our host anymore. Ignore using known host. You can say yes. Host-based authentication. Like don't trust what's in here. You can change that. This is when it gets into LDAP or Kerbals, or in this case, in some cases LDAP. And LDAP can be tied back to Active Directory. You can change that. Challenge response authentication, so you can disable keys and passwords and so forth. You can do that. When you want to get an X11 forwarding, this is when you want to get when you want to use your terminal. So when I say your terminal, I mean I actually should say a GUI. So you can do S11 forwarding and return a GUI back to you over SSH for your actual machine. So there's a number of things that you can do inside of this file. Um, doesn't seem to really go through a lot, but there is also password authentication. So let me go in here and type in password. So here we allow password authentication. We can change that and say, no, you can't SSH using password authentication. Now on Amazon and Azure and all of them, excuse me, I believe they have this turned off. I believe they have password authentication set to no, and they force you to use SSH keys. Um, that's why you got that PIM key that gets downloaded. So I believe they do that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I believe that's what they do. And you could double verify that by logging in and checking out an AWS instance and see how they do it.
Why do they do that though?
Because you okay, so when you're logging in over SSH with your username and password, you have a tendency to you're sending out your password through a tunnel so that somebody can sniff with a man in the middle attack. So uh depending on how things are set up, we could use it's better to use the actual PIM key for that. And then to take it even one step further, you shouldn't even be logging into your boxes at all. You should be automating whatever you're gonna do, it should be automated.
That's
So
true.
that gets into the whole idea of immutable infrastructure and DevSecOps. So if it's something that you need to change on a box, really what should be happening is we should be deploying a new box and well, we should be deploying a new box, making whatever changes in an automated fashion. And if that works, then just deploy the new infrastructure. But in some cases, some people don't do that. Some people just really log in and change whatever they need to in production and then keep it pushing. But it should
Mm,
be, we shouldn't be changing anything on that box unless we check it in as code, because we have drift. So you came along and you changed some permissions on a file and it worked, and you go about your business and you didn't document it, and it needs to be part of the system build. Then when we go to build that system out again and you didn't have your changes checked in or didn't document that and put it into the baseline, when we go to build that out, it could be a problem.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, change attribute. I'm reading something. Sorry. All right. So that was the overall gist that they had for SSH keys. Of course, I think you have an idea what would happen if we say, hey, password authentication. No, you probably can't log in with passwords. That would be that instance there. I mean, that would be the situation there. All right, so let's see what else we got next. Think oh yeah, let me look here. Um, I want to say it's user. I want to say it's user. It may be lowercase user. So let me look up user. Want to prevent let's see, example override said on a per user basis, match user, and that user is allowed. And I'm here on the right hand side on line 140. All right, so that user is allowed. So if I wanted to do it on a per user basis, right? So a user could log in, and this user and CVS, I can allow or disallow port forwarding. I can allow or disallow TCP, and I can allow TTY, and then I can force command. I have to look up what force command is. Like, I guess that means only force command. Like, they can only use CVS the server, but I have to look that up. So let me look and see if there's anything else on the user, because you can disallow a user. Let's look up that here. SSH prevent user login rel. There is a way to allow and deny a particular user. Yeah, allow users. That's what it is. All right, so let's go back to the file and let's look up allow user. So then you just at the bottom, you do a slash, // then allow users. Or is it allow user? Let's go with allow. See, allow agent forwarding, allow TCP forwarding. They don't have it in here, so I wonder if I just add that. Let's go back to here. Permit I am in insert mode and add or modify. So I have to add that because it's not in there. And allow users is the thing. So let's double verify that, right? Let's do a man -k on sshd underscore config, because I want to see if they have anything. Okay, SSH. No, nothing. So, all right. I find that odd. Yeah, there it is. See, there's allow users. Okay, so look, here we go right here. Configuration options that require DNS include user root and pattern and allow users and deny users. So let's look up allow users in here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I need to verify that that's actually something that I can do. Why? Because when I go to change this config file, I'm just gonna put it. I'm gonna put it with all the other allows at, just to keep it in simple here. And I'm gonna say allow users. It should be allow users, and then we're gonna say Ansible. Now, when I go to restart, if that parameter is not okay, it will error out on me. All right, now let's check the status of it. Okay, it's running. All right, so by default right now, I don't think I should be able to get in as root user, but I got permit root login, so it may let me in. Let's find out. And I have to double verify that I didn't change that. Okay. So now let's go back to the file. And I got permit root login, yes, but I'm only allowed the user Ansible to log in. Okay, so now if I go over here, who am I? I am root, and we know that by here. So I'm gonna SU to Ansible. And now, let me clear my screen and let me get the IP right here. And so by default, I should be able to SSH to this machine using Ansible, and the keys are already there. Let me get rid of the slash, and I'm there. Okay, so we verified that. Let's verify from this box that I can't SSH as root to that box. I'll stop. Okay, we verified it twice. So the allow users looks at overrides the fact that the permit root login is set. So allow users only lets Ansible log in. Well, what's the significance of that? Well, the significance of that is this. Let me show you. If I vim, let me do vim. Hold on, let me install vim. I'm going to show you some log files. And I'm going to show you why it's important to turn off allowing root user to log in on these public systems. Because in here, I'm sure, and maybe in my other one, there are probably major attempts to hack this machine all the time. Let me see, is it showing up in here? Not yet. It may be in another. Oh, this got rebooted. That's why this machine got rebooted. So let me go to var log. All right, do I have any messages? Nope. Let me look at secure. See what we see. Let me go up in the file. See if I can see somebody coming from another. Yeah, right here. That's not me. This is me. So you can see somebody's been trying to hack it. So we just prevented the root user from logging in. There we go, right there. Connection closed. This is 206. Yep. So that's why it's good to change your root path to prevent root user from logging in, and then lock it down by what users can log in to the machine. That's the significance there. Any questions on that? Yes, no, maybe. Am I on mute? Have I been talking this whole time and y'all didn't heard nothing?
We hear you.
We're with you.
Processing.
So
Okay.
in general, you wouldn't want root to be able to log in at all.
Correct. In general, you want to actually log in with another user and then give that user elevated privileges.
Okay.
And you can create a backdoor, once you get on the box to where you can issue to that root user, but you don't necessarily need to have root logging in doing work. Okay, it's quiz time. All right, how do I make SSH keys? I'm gonna create a user. I'm gonna issue to that user. Tune, how do I create SSH keys for this user?
I don't remember exactly, but I know keygen is in there. It's SSH keygen. Yeah.
Okay, take the defaults. Cool. Now you check in the user's directory, you can see that two keys have been a public key and a private key. Pub is public, private is the one without pub. You want to send the public key over to your next machine. All right. All right. So Trisha, how do I send this key over to my Wednesday-02 machine? Let's grab the IP first. All right, I got the IP. What am I doing next?
Um,
And
are you?
you can get a lifeline.
Yeah, please.
Somebody help her out.
SSH-copy-ID.
Okay. What else?
-I and then your path to your public RSA pub. ID RSA pub. And then
Oh yeah, we need to make that user over here
yeah.
and give it a password. Did I not do the right password? Nope. I guess I didn't do the right password. That's awesome.
You
You know why they don't? You know why they don't work?
lock the user, right?
Yep. That's why it don't work. That's why it don't work. Let's type Ansible. I think you only need at this point. I think you only need space. Where's that user at? Where you at, user? Come on, user. Where's my allows? I just saw you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Setting you. Okay. Think you can do just space. I don't think I need commas. We're about to find out though. Okay, status. Yep, started active. Boom. All right. Close that. Clear that. Let's try you again now. Ha 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 ha. Now we can SSH. We can do who am I? We see who I am. And now we can do a SSH over to that you there when they were there. See that? Got it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next week we're gonna come back and we're gonna see who can do it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, let's go over some let's exit out of here, exit out of here. Okay. All right. Now let's make this widescreen. Is it better on black? Black and white or green and yellow?
Yeah, black and white.
Alright. Alright. I think you just used it black and white. That's what it is.
And bigger font.
Yeah, I tried to make it bigger. I don't see anything to make that bigger. Don't see anything to make that bigger.
Is there not a zoom in the view?
It's a zoom in on your view. On your view, there's a zoom.
Oh, okay.
I
Yep.
zoomed. I couldn't see what you were doing at the bottom, so I had to come out of that zoom.
It got too big.
Yeah, like when I asked you where you were, I realized
Uh,
later that I just couldn't see it because I was zoomed in too much.
yep,
I was
it
only
was too
one
big.
click.
It's gonna give you what you need. You asked for it. Yeah. I don't have anything. View bigger. Yeah, that's what I've been hitting. If I make the font bigger here, uh it's just command plus. So command plus. There we go. There.
That's
Now
good.
you
That
got
better.
set up for old eyes. Yeah, that's really big.
How about that?
Excellent.
Yeah, better.
All right. All right. So PWD gives me what?
It
Your what
tells you what
directory?
directory you're
What
in.
directory you're
Yep.
in?
All right. You know I'm snapping my fingers. I'm expecting quick answers. Quick answers. Quick draw. Quick draw. Quick draw. Quick draw. Quick draw. I know you know this. Uh, how do I find out the last user that logged in and what they did?
Who?
You?
W.
W.
What
W.
does what does who give me? What does who give me?
The last person or last user that logged in. Oh, who?
Who gives me the last user logged in? W gives me the last user that logged in and what they did.
Okay.
Ah,
Remember that.
okay, okay.
What is this? What does last log give me?
The last person who
Last
logged
person
in?
that logged in, I guess.
Well,
Huh.
the last
Well, how do we find
entry.
out? How do we find
Man.
out? All right.
Man.
Oh, man.
All right. Reports the most recent login of all users or of a given user.
Okay.
All right. So if I do a man on last log, it's gonna give me not a man. If I do a last log command, it's gonna give me all the users. And you can see the time and date stamp of when they logged in.
Okay. I'll give you
See
all.
that?
Okay.
And what you see here is you see root, you see Ben, you see Damon, you see add ADM, operated games, FTP. What do you think this is reading from?
When it boots up.
No, but what file? What file is it reading from?
Var log?
Yeah, but there's another file that is reading. So if we did if we did
Is it Etsy
mm-mm,
users?
Velocity.
password
Password.
password,
Okay.
Oh,
right?
Huh.
So the reason why it's reading the fact that those users are there, but what else is it reading? It's also reading that those users never logged in, but they
Right.
can't. And the reason why they can't log in is because they have a SBIN no login. No login. No
Mm,
login. They're not allowed there. They're not allowed to log in.
got it.
Right? You have a daemon that's a shutdown. It's been shut down. So you type shutdown, it's gonna run shutdown, but no login. You see, root has a shell that it logs
Mm-hmm.
into, and that's been bash. Same thing here, and we can change these shells in which they log in. You can see
Mm-hmm.
there's a cloud user that um, DigitalOcean sets up, and then its home directory is CentOS, and its shell is bash. So
Yeah.
there's a default user that they have probably to do some scripts and stuff like that to log in. All right. There's another thing we can check. We can check etc shadow, right?
Mm.
All right, so some things that we notice here, right? We have an Ansible, and you can see that password, encrypted password, has been set for that user Ansible. But check out CentOS with the exclamation and point, RNGD with the exclamation and point. To remember what these mean, right? You remember that? Remember what the exclamation point means?
Isn't that encrypted too?
What'd you say?
Isn't that encrypted too?
You said what now?
I thought it was also I thought that also meant it was encrypted. When you see the exclamation.
Just look it up. I'll give you a hot 20 seconds to look it up and tell me what that means.
Uh,
And we went over this too. What does that exclamation point mean inside of shadow? How would you search? How would you search for that?
Exclamation point shadow.
Come on, there we go. What does exclamation?
The password is locked.
There you go. There you go. So how we find locked users?
When we go to SSH, SSHD.
How to find locked users? That's what you should look up.
Wouldn't you just grep the file?
You can, but what if I don't? What if I don't have access to that file and I just got access to that particular
Oh, there's
command?
the. Hold on.
Right there. So there's four
What's
ways, like they were
the
saying.
yeah.
You can password -L.
Oh,
That's to
I
lock a given
misunderstood
user.
the question. I thought you said, how do you check? My bad.
You do, you can go into that file and check, but what if I don't give you access to that file and only give you access to the command? How else would you check? Use a mod. Because I can, as a root user, say, hey, you can't have access to that file, but you can check to see if that user is locked or not. Most people don't do that,
Oh, you
but
can use status. Oh, password status. Okay.
yep. So just remember, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Okay. All right. So we are in var log messages. Well, we should be in var log. And inside, oh yeah, that's right. You guys don't like this screen. Let me go back over to my other screen. Let's see, where did I put you at, screen? No, that's not you. Did I close you? Where'd you go? It's going away. Oh, I know what happened to it. I know exactly what happened to it. It is right there. That is. No, that ain't it. It is on another terminal. That's where it's at. So now I gotta figure out how to get there. Where you at? Come back. We need you. Where'd you go? Open up a terminal. There we go. All right. Okay, so inside of var/var/log, you have a set of directories and files. Does everybody know what var log is usually for? If you
Wait a
don't
minute.
know,
Log file.
what'd you say?
Check your logs.
Log file.
Check your logs. That's right. That kind of self-explanatory, I hope.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So when most on Red Hat systems and CentOS systems, by default, if the user who or the group of people who created the package, if they set their logging up properly, it usually logs to var log messages unless they have defined in the package to create a log file in this directory and then drop their logs in there. Hint the cloud init dash log and cloud init dash output log and dnf.log and hotkey.log, as you can see. And then you have some processes that have directories that have their log files inside those particular directories. So that's what you're seeing here. But the ones that I wanted to point out that are important is var log messages. So if we did you can actually get real time if you do tail dash F
Mm-hmm.
var log messages. You can get real time of what's happening with the system in real time for var log messages, right? So if I try to SSH to this machine, I would get some messages. So let me on another terminal get logged into that machine. Let me do a new terminal. Homebrew. And let me bring this over to my screen. Leave you up there. Let me clear this real quick and let me get an IP. All right. I just want an IP. Clear. This one other thing I need to do so I can get logged in, but we may not need it. We may not need it. We may not need it. Let's do a tail dash F on messages because I'm in bar log messages, but let's do a tail dash F. And what I'm going to do is SSH is root. And I think I blocked myself from this, so it may not let me in. Yeah, it's not letting me in. Okay, cool. That's fine. But let's go over here. Let's clear and let's look at secure because that's where that's getting logged to. All right. And what I'm gonna do is do some put some spacing in between here. Oh, you can see it, all right? You can see everything that's going on. You can see the hits. You see the hits? 89. That's not my IP address. All right. So now let's and that's not me. I had that's me right there. That's 70. See, connection closed, invalid user, right? Now I'm gonna try it again. Let me clear the screen again. Let me put some spaces in between.
Issue 70.
All right. You see, user root from 70 not allowed because not listed in allow users.
94. That's,
Yep. 94 trying to get in. Whoever that is, they're trying to
wow.
trying to hit it and get in, right? So um allow users won't let the root user in even though permit root login is set. So they're just gonna keep hitting. So anytime you're on these public machines and you want to see what kind of hits you're getting, you can sit there and just let secure run. Look at that. Look at that.
Wow, you got a lot. More than what I would anticipate.
All right. So this is why one, security is important to lock down your machines, and the other piece is stop unnecessary users, unnecessary users from logging in. So if you got a user and that user doesn't need elevated privileges and so forth, they're just gonna keep hitting it, right? That's all they're doing. They're just gonna keep hitting it. That's it, right? So this is where your firewalls come into play. And DigitalOcean has a firewall, and you also have a local firewall to your box as well, too, where you can lock it down and say, if it don't come from this IP address, then don't let it in. All right. So in your cloud, on your cloud machines in AWS, you can do this. In Azure, you can do it. In GCP, you can do it as well. Inside of your on the box itself, you can prevent that and saying, hey, if you see this user, don't let them in. If you see this user from this IP address, you can let them in, and you can do that with IP tables, right? So what I want to show you was the significance of what goes on in var log. All right, all right. So we see what secure is, right? So now let's look and see what messages is. So let's do a tell -f on messages. Now, when you go to install packages, oftentimes you'll see packages come up inside of here. So let me pull up a terminal I have here. Let me see if did it pop up over there. Yeah, it's in the background over here. Let me grab it, and I can use Ansible on this machine. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna I think Ansible 2 is on here, but tell password. Yep. So now we need to go over to sudoers. All right, and then I'm gonna look for no password. All right, you can see they have their CentOS user set up like that. All right, so let's look up CentOS. Okay, cool. Oh, come on, CentOS. Yeah. All right. There we want to put let's yank it. YYP. To YY is to yank it, and then P to paste. And here I'm just gonna put Ansible. So I can log in Ansible with no with sudo to Ansible with no password. All right, cool. All right, so what I'm doing here on this screen is let's just double verify we can log in to this machine. Let me get the IP. IPA, sorry. And 206 something something right there. Let's clear that screen. And what I want to do is tell -f secure. You'll see me log in. All right. Ask for a password. I thought it shouldn't ask for a password, but okay. You see it pop in, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So now I'm on that machine. I'm going to tell messages. Oh, sorry. Tell -f real time. Okay. I'm gonna put some space in between so we get a clear screen. All right, I am officially on the box. And I'm going to clear the screen on my screen, and I'm going to do a yum install. I'm going to do a yum install of curl. All right, as you can see, what starts to happen, right? You can see that, did you see it? Did it come up? Maybe not in here. Maybe it's not in messages no more. Let's do a ls minus ltrh. Eh, maybe it's in DNF log now. Maybe they moved it out. Yep, they moved it out. All right. So on rail 8, you used to be in messages that you would see your packages being installed, but now the packages gets installed and it goes into dnf.log. So this is on CentOS 8. I'm not sure about rail 8. Maybe the same thing, but nevertheless, you can see where it was pulling from and the packages that got installed. That's what I wanted to show. And how I quickly found that out is this: I do a ls minus ltrh, and it's gonna give me the last files that were written, right? So these are the last files that was written. And how do I know that? I can just do a date. So here's the timestamp. All right, even though it's in UTC, it's still a time that I can associate with and be like, okay, well, I need to check these files right here to see what's going on, right? So I know that I need to check these files, see what got written to last, and see where I can find it. So that's how I was able to check it really, really quickly. And you can do a cat on haul log, and you can do a cat on DNF, RPM log, and you can see it start doing some debugging stuff, and then lib repo. We can grab that. And it looks like it's telling what the repo that it used in order to grab that install. And that's how you can check your files. So the next thing we want to look at, the next file we want to look at in var log. Pull this up. We went over secure. You saw what happened with secure. Do they have it in here still? Nope. See, they don't have a boot log on this machine because they're using Cloud Init. I think Cloud Init is their boot log for DigitalOcean. On your Linux box, it's boot log. So this is, I believe, how they're Cloud Init. This is their boot log for their servers. Yep. See, we're storing SE Linux, running final message. Yeah, this is their boot log. Their Cloud Init log is their boot log. And Cloud Init dash output. Okay, so in DigitalOcean, this actually pops up on the screen, like your IP address, these routes and stuff. All this pops up on your screen. No authorized SSH keys, fingers, prints found for user CentOS, and then it gives all this information. So, and last log, we've been through last log. You're seeing what that gave you. You're seeing what secure gives you. Let's go with the audit. And now you can see the audit files. If I did a ls minus ltrh, we can see May 7th, 044. You can see it's big, 6.9 megs, 8 megs. So let's go here to audit log and see what's going on. So this is auditing all the commands that we're doing. So they probably have some type of audit D file set up, and we should get into that, but we won't get in that tonight. So there's an audit D file that's creating this. Yep, there's an audit. They have some type of audit. Let me go over here and look. So if I see the etc audit, yep, see they got audit rules set up. Let's look at auditd.conf. So this tells me like log your file and var log audit.log, the maximum size, the space, syslogs, suspend when it gets up to really it should be 50% capacity, and it'll the machine will suspend itself and stop working and so forth. So every machine has if you install audit D, you'll get these things. The rules are what is important. So I can't see that because something is blocking it on my screen. General audit rules.d. So let's go to audit rules.d. Rules.d. And then audit rules. Okay, so they got set system failure, backlog, increase buffers. See any specific rules just yet. Let's look at audit dash stop rules. Nothing there. And let's go to plugins. It's cat. Nothing special there. And let's cat this one. Yeah, nothing special there. But we can see in etc var log, sorry, audit log is logging PAM authentication, SSHD. It's really chatty, and I know it's chatty by looking at var log audit D, and if I did a du minus c sh star space star 24 megs, so it's writing. It's huge. That's a big file. I mean, that's not the biggest file I've seen, but that's pretty chatty for audit D. All right, and we'll go over audit D. I think that may be in 134 that they talk about audit D. All right. So let's go through a quiz, and then we'll look at next week. We'll look at syslog. How do these files get generated? etc syslog. Come on. Is it etc syslog? I thought it was. Did it get changed on me? Let's see. Oh, it may be etc rsyslog. Yep. rsyslog.com. All right. So this makes sense. All right. So they talk about rsyslog, the modules, and what rsyslog is. This is how you get your log files created and rotated in etc. I mean, inside of var/log. And you see where it's got information, mail, authorized privilege, cron jobs. You see they get logged into var log messages. You can send kernel messages to the screen, but that's going to clutter up the screen. It's going to prevent you from logging in because it's chatty. And then you see auth privileges dot star. or they got some restricted access as var log secure. And we seen var log secure when when me as a user is logging in, and if I can log in, if I can't log in, or people hacking or something like that, we seen that. And mail messages are sent to var log mail message, cron jobs, emergencies, this spoolers for printing, varlog boot.log local 7 when we want boot messages to be sent to varlog boot log. And we can create our own directory and our own log files and rotate them as well too. And we'll get into that. We won't do it tonight because that's going to take some time for that. But that is the overall gist of how log messages get created and where they get created at. We're going to go over that next week. The next thing that we're going to go over is journaling as well, and keeping accurate time. You know, we did this before, uh, you know, with the time, date, CTL command. Remember that?
Mhm.
Well, we had to change the time zone. We're in UTC, and you can do time, date, CTL, list time zones, and it gives you all the different time zones, and we have to change it over to New York or whatever you closest to you, whatever time zone you're in. So we'll be doing that next week. Um, and then we're gonna get into networking and transferring files, creating tar files and transferring files. So we got a lot to do the next 2 weeks. And then the 15, see the last 2 weeks, what we say, we trying to finish up by the 15th? Is that next week? That's
Basically.
next week. All right. Oh yeah, we said we're gonna go to the 21st. So we wrapping down to the 21st where we got um file system and devices. We'll do an install, and then we're going to do getting support from Red Hat. So we only got 4 chapters left.
Mhm.
And managing processes, I'll go back over them. I think we need some more time on get UID, set UID, set GUID. Think you need a little bit more info on that. And that's about it. So now let's get back to our quiz. I haven't forgot. All right, let me pull the quiz up here. Let me get my little Word document up. Are y'all ready?
Only one way to find out.
Was a trick question.
It's a trick question. It is. It is a trick question. All right, so let me grab this. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let me make sure that gets organized here. All right. The question is, which of these log files store most syslog messages with the exception of those that are related to authentication, mail, scheduled jobs, and debugging? Which of these log files stores most syslog messages with the exception of those that are related to authentication, mail, scheduled jobs, and debugging? What are the two we can automatically rule out?
Secure.
Right.
Can we?
Mhm.
Mhm.
She said rule out secure. Anybody else agreeing with that? Let me pull my.
I agree with that.
I don't know. You said accept.
I said which of these log files stores most syslog messages, with the exception of those that are related to authentication, mail, scheduled jobs, and debugging.
I know A is.
So which two can we rule out first?
A and D.
Bill.
A
So
and
we can rule out A. Can we
yeah.
rule out, did you say D or B?
I said
D.
D.
All right, so let me strike through that. And you said D, strike through that. So I'm gonna read it one more time. Which of these log files store most syslog messages, with the exception of those that are related to authentication, mail, scheduled jobs, and debugging?
Ooh.
Wait, I want to take back
Wait,
D
wait. Bring back in
and
D.
cross out B.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
D.
crossing out B. All right, all right. Read the question one more time. Which of these log files stores most syslog messages, with the exception of those that are related to authentication, mail, scheduled jobs, and debugging? So we already seen what secure stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Secure stored what? Me logging in, right?
Mm,
Me
Uh
getting
huh.
attacked, right?
Right.
So, but we know messages does what? It did a little bit of everything, right?
Hmm.
So how we know that? We know that from
A.
rsyslog.conf, and let's go to messages. Right. So it stores info, mail, uh, authorization, and cron jobs. So don't log private authentication messages. Right. So what do you think the answer is? Margot says C. Who's going with Margot?
I'm going with Margot.
All right. Oops. The answer is C.
Yay.
All right. So we're just gonna put up here that the answer was C. So one.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So what would have been the two that you would have eliminated off the top?
A and B. Because mail stores mail and boot stores boot up messages. That question is not even related to those two. And my thing is off. Let me try to get that back. There we go. Well, just remember one is C. All right.
I just highlighted.
These are the same choices for number two. Number two says, which log file stores syslog messages related to security and authentication operations in the system?
D.
D.
Yeah. D. Yeah.
What'd you say?
D.
D.
Okay, that's the right answer. All right. Oh, this is gonna be a good one. We didn't do that one, so I won't answer that. I won't ask you that.
Must have been B.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It says which service sorts and organizes syslog messages into var log.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
But the answer is what? Just think about it. R syslog, right? That's what we've been working with. That's what I've been showing you. Our system. All right. Okay. Which directory? Let me grab this because I know you can answer this one. If you can't answer this one, then we're gonna start all the way over. You can't answer this one, we're gonna start all the way over. Like you don't know where you been. Hold on, let me get my all right.
Excuse me.
Okay. Which directory accommodates the human readable syslog files? Which directory accommodates the human readable syslog files?
Oh yeah.
What's the answer?
D.
I'm gonna say D.
Yes, the
The answer is D. We know there's no we know that we're not logging what you throwing out off the rip. Just what's the first one you're gonna throw out off the rip?
it's current
A.
info.
Probably
Oh,
A.
I've never seen that one.
Right. What's the next one you're gonna throw out?
C. I would do C.
C.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then did you when you was looking at the directory, did you see a bar log journal?
No.
No.
All right. So like I said, if you mess that up, I don't know, we gotta start over. All right. So let me get this one. I know you know this answer. You don't know this answer, we need to start over. All right. The question is, what file stores syslog messages related to the mail server?
D.
B.
B. All right. All right. And last but not least, I know you're not gonna know this answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway, and we're gonna do a process of elimination first, and then we're gonna go from there. Which files store syslog messages related to scheduled jobs? What are we gonna eliminate first?
No. Oh, I'm sorry.
B.
D is eliminated.
Yeah,
Okay.
never seen that one.
Yep. And I'm gonna tell you now that you're gonna eliminate C because that's related to printing.
I think
Mm.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Okay. So we're saying what file stores syslog messages related to scheduled jobs.
Hmm.
I'm going with A.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why A?
Because
Oh,
I
long.
remember you talking about scheduled jobs related to crime jobs, and
Yep.
how tally log is. So
Yep, that's the answer. Answer is A. But you see how we look at these questions and we eliminate the fluff. Get rid of the dead weight first.
yeah.
All right. I know you're gonna know this answer. I know you're gonna know this answer. Question. What file stores console messages related to the system startup? What are you gonna eliminate first?
D.
D.
Yeah.
Gonna eliminate D. What else?
D.
B.
Okay. What else?
A.
A.
What's the answer?
C.
Or not, yeah. Ooh.
Let's check. The answer is C. You were able to get through the quiz. It means you paid attention tonight. Okay. I
Alrighty.
think that's pretty good. We did good tonight.